beautiful people get it better. That's just the way it is.
Meet Kyle. He's one of those guys in high school who thinks he's God's gift.
Should you vote for me just because I'm the rich, popular, good-looking guy? Oh, yeah!
He'll never change. Unless something or someone changes him.
You have a year to find someone to love you. Or stay like this forever.
No.
Beastly. They call it Beastly because this boy in here is supposed to be ugly. This boy ain't ugly. I saw him working at the club downtown the other day.
Well, I love how a spell is cast on him to shave his head, give him tattoos and metal studs. He's like, oh, I'm too ugly. It's like, no, dude, just move to Austin. You'll get all kinds of chicks. You'll be like every fifth guy I see walking around here.
Go audition for Nine Inch Nails. You'll be fine. You'll get tail left and right.
No, go, at the worst, go join the Jim Rose Circus if you feel that bad. You'll fit right in.
I'm like, if this witch knew what the fuck she was doing, she would have made this guy look like Paul Giamatti. And just like let him deal with just how he's fucked up being a jackass by being such a pretty boy. Yeah, that would have taught him his lesson real quick. That movie would have been over in like 10 minutes.
Even I don't know. You look at Paul Giamatti movies, he gets hot chicks.
Even the movie knows it's bullshit. I mean, the guy's supposed to be ugly, right? Yet every chance it gets, it has slow motion montages of him with his shirt off.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, he's hideous.
Yeah.
I mean, I will give the I will give the movie credit though. You are given a fair warning at the very beginning where you see one of the fucking Fugly Olsen twins.
Olsen twins.
Address the screen and address the audience by telling them, get ready to embrace the suck. Yeah. You really embraced it.
That is ballsy for the movie to look you in the eye and tell you, embrace
By the way, none of us embraced this, okay? It was forced upon us. It raped us.
No choice.
Acknowledge that it did in fact suck.
Yeah, and yes, and we admitted that we do accept it, not willingly, but we sat through the whole thing.
Yeah, it was like Kreskin there, like embrace the suck.
You sat there like,
embrace the suck.
I don't want to. No, I just have to be here. That's you're right. If she really wanted to make this dude despised and everybody hated him, she would have made him into a clown. Yeah. He never would have been able to wash that makeup off. Would have been able to ever take that wig off.
Patrick Harrison here. You could have just made her Neil Patrick Harris and gone like, you know what? There you go. Good luck.
Better yet, just make his dick shrink. That's all kind of ways that she could have done this.
I'm sure the way this guy was built, his face might have been fucking all, they might have turned him into like one of the extras from Ghost of Mars. But the thing is that this guy had a fucking rock hard abs.
Yeah.
Just shit like, how is this a bad deal again?
Have him lose the abs. I mean, she gave him cool looking tattoos.
Make him fat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? Worst of all, it's like, okay, so this guy, right? All right, so he looks, quote, ugly, end quote, but he's also like a millionaire. So he's got money to throw. Here you go. I mean, seriously, really?
It's like you look at her.
How many girls can put up with like that, like shit being done?
Learn how to fucking play the guitar and the keyboard and like go make a name.
Well, now let's get to the meat of it. This is as they sell it, a modern retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
A shitty retelling.
Apparently, a book that is a modern retelling of
Are
Beauty
you
and the
serious?
Beast.
Somebody actually wrote this down.
Oh yeah.
Book of this.
Damn.
In the teen idiot section of your local
Walmart,
previously known as Barnes and Noble.
Wow.
No, and of course, everybody recognizes this as anybody who with like fucking sense and eyesight can see that this is another movie that is trying to. There's two types of movies out there today. There's one movie that's trying to get that Harry Potter money, and then there's another movie that's trying to get that Twilight money.
Right.
So guess which one this falls into? It's like it's either a teen emo retelling of either something mythological like a vampire, the vampire lore, werewolves, or they're just taking a fairy tale and retelling it with this whole
by the way, that's a plug that we'll be reviewing the Red Riding Hood movie
that's what I'm about to say. You've seen it coming around with Red Riding Hood.
It doesn't miss a trick as far as like knowing exactly what it is, how programmed. I mean, like every opportunity possible to throw in a song for the soundtrack that they're trying to market.
Well, I mean, you look at you start out with the lead kid from I Am Number 4,
and presumably some television show, I would think.
Okay, Mary-Kate Olsen, and then Vanessa Hudgens.
And by the way, the guy from I Am Number 4, his name is Alex Pettyfer.
And Vanessa Hudgens from the High School Musical trilogy. So Alex Pettyfer.
Yeah, Alex Pettyfer is his name.
They're all in high school. I mean, again, a bunch of 30-year-old high school students. And
a high school that's set in Coruscant.
Yeah, it's like this high school they go to looks like an airport hangar or airport lobby.
They couldn't even get a real high school shoot in.
Yeah, they're that cheap that it was clearly not actually a school.
It looks like the mall that's taken out of Minority Report. It's like this is what you walk through before you board.
It's baggage claim.
It's like what you walk through before you board the Enterprise. They got all kind of holograms and
even more surreal. I mean, you'd expect like maybe if it was like Beverly Hills, like really private school, you might believe this. But there's this guy, the lead guy, standing in front of the crowd, running for the president of the Green Party, I guess the Green Society, the Environmental Society, telling the whole school, I think this is bullshit. The truth is, I'm hot and I'm rich and I'm popular and you're going to vote for me because of that, because beautiful people are better than ugly people. And this is the script. This isn't me character.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's not Cyrus just like putting his spin on it. This is exactly what the kid says.
And the whole crowd goes wild. Yes, we agree.
There's even like There's even like one teacher back there because all the crowd is like they're holding like these little sticks with his face on it. And there's one teacher back there like, yeah. It's like, man,
there's
really?
beauty. There might as well have been beauty police like arresting ugly kids, while walking down the hallways. I mean,
you fatty, come here,
fat boy, get over here.
So at this school, what qualifies as not beautiful is Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Mary Kate Olsen, who's goth to a point where even a goth chick would go like, tone it down a little bit.
Seriously.
No, that chick took one too many tumbles at the Hot Topics and walked out with this ridiculous like goth look.
No, it was too far. She looked like something.
Too much.
No, she looked like something at the Dark Crystal. That didn't make any sense for her to do that.
Well, I mean, it's like really, she's got like one stud sticking out of the side of her head. Why? I don't know. We're just like, wait, that's not even balanced. What is that?
I mean,
you're like, come on, just so. And because she's a goth. The goth in a school full of pretty people, well,
she must be a witch too.
In fact, it's not even she must be. It's widely acknowledged that she's a witch.
That she's a witch.
Right? Like, it's just come to, well, she's a witch, so you probably don't want to piss her off too bad.
Which is funny because if you're a witch in high school, when you use that power for like taking people's lunch money, terrorizing teachers and to give you an A.
Passing all your grades,
yeah. They're like fucking with the pretty chicks.
But
when you make yourself pretty, I mean,
But she's a fable type witch. She's a witch who's like, oh, you know what my gig is? My gig is your dick and you got to pay for that, Yeah. And so that's her thing. He is a dick. Yeah. She gives him a second chance to turn around and not be a dick. He does not take it, of course. Like you really needed to give him that chance.
It's funny.
And
I was explaining to people at work how this went down, and they were like, I know you're joking, right? I'm like, no, this is verbatim, to where he tells her, hey, you know what? I just called you a skank, but tell you what, why don't you come to this thing? You'll be my guest. And when she shows up, he's like, oh, I can't believe you actually showed up. Yeah. I just invited you to embarrass you. What'd you think about that?
Well, yeah, like you said, this is a retelling. If you haven't recognized it yet, this is a modern retelling, as we mentioned, of Beauty and the Beast. And you have the hottest guy in high school. Everybody loves him. He's got the hottest girl. People vote, like you said, people vote for him just because he fucking looks good. Even guys are out there like swoon, And so, he's full of himself. I mean, he's an ugly person on the inside. So this witch shows up and says, hey, you know what? Ugly. I'm going to make you ugly. So until you not only, learn a lesson of how egotistical and mean-spirited you are, but also you have to get somebody to fall in love with you after a certain period.
To say I love you. Within 1 year.
Within 1 year before, if you ever want this curse to go away. And she gives him a flower, a tree tattoo, because in Beauty and the Beast, I think for every month a petal fell off the rose or whatever. Sure. Well, his tattoo grows little flowers. It's like they take him to a doctor, and the doctors are like, well, this is peculiar. We can't do anything for it. It's like, can't you see there's a fucking tree morphing on my arm right here?
He got a goddamn tattoo from Pixar. I mean, that's just animated like crazy.
The shit happens to him. It is clear. This is not something a doctor can do anything about. It is magic. So they just go, well, it's too bad. Apparently there's just one witch in the world.
Yeah, we don't want to study this or pursue this person that did this to you.
Maybe she's a witch whose whole thing is balance. Maybe there's a witch out there whose whole thing is lots of money. I'm just saying, give it a shot before you just go, oh, well.
Which makes this movie complete and utter shit, only because you're like, wow, there's nobody everyone just like, well, that sucks, that happened. Well, let's move on. Yeah. Next scene.
And by the way, this is what I hate about these kind of movies. Like, they try to tell you this whole moral thing about, it's not what's on the outside that's counting, it's what's on the inside. So what does he do? He finds like the hottest girl in high school to get to say I love you, you know.
He finds the hottest girl who's not a cheerleader, which for him is slumming.
Yeah.
Right, you know? I mean, and they make that clear. Even worse, she's even more shallow than he was.
Yeah, when it comes down to it.
When it comes down to it, and she starts explaining, oh, yeah, there was this guy, and I know he was a jerk, and I know he was a complete
Because he messes
asshole,
with
he's
her,
mean
too.
people,
Right.
but I can change him.
That's
I
the
mean,
thing. Yeah,
you're
she's the
like,
chick that wants to change people.
Wow,
Right.
you
like-
are such an idiot.
And I like, and at that point, I hate
You
it.
like him because he's hot and get over it?
Yeah, why don't you just admit that you're just as shallow as everybody?
I'm like, yeah. Well, at this point, why don't you make both these motherfuckers ugly? You know, because they both get on my nerves.
Just some guy at my old school. Kind of a jerk, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we were on this committee together, so that's why I have his picture. You know, same old, same old. Jerks are exciting, and my type falls for him.
Did you fall for him?
Every once in a while, you kind of remind me of him. Not that you're a jerk. Anyways, he disappeared. Rehab.
So you did fall for him.
No, I mean, I talked to him last night. You know, the truly ridiculous thing is I might have kind of sort of actually thought he a little bit liked me.
Of course he did.
Please. He was completely on the in and I was not.
That's why I like you.
Same.
Anyways, being on the in isn't all that.
Isn't that what people on the out say to make each other feel better?
But it also happens to be true.
And like we said, you know, for her to change him ugly, it just looks like he's got a bad tattoo job. Looks like he went to a tattoo parlor and dipped the cat in ink and tattooed his face with it.
Like,
I mean, it's
like he was drunk and passed out in the parlor, and they let the students just go wild
Yeah,
on
but
him.
even weirder,
Yeah,
there's
and when
like
it-
metal under his face.
I was about to say,
What is
I
that?
was about to say, like, he fell asleep and Freddy Krueger said, hey, fuck it, I'm going to get a piece of this guy, too.
You know what?
Started slicing him up
When-
and
when-
putting metal underneath his skin.
Now you got Neil Patrick Harris, who comes in as Matt, basically Matt Murdock Daredevil, as his blind
Yes.
tutor.
The
He
magical
plays
blind
the,
guy.
he's the guy, he was playing the candles, right? And
Yeah, he's playing candles, and he's got a magical Negro housekeeper to also train him about
who
life.
talks like this.
Yeah, but and I love how Neil Patrick Harris kept forgetting that he was supposed to be blind because he'd be staring right at the kid.
That's what I
and
told
And then
him.
he would
Yeah.
suddenly look up oh sorry, I'm blind. And I love the character Peter Krause, who plays the guy's dad, who's he's an anchor man. He's all about looks, and he sees his son. He's like, oh shit, you know what? Yeah, he does everything except throw up. He takes him to a doctor. We're going to do whatever we have to do to get you pretty again, even if it kills you. And I'm going to get this apartment for you to live in. And, well, okay, it's for us. No, it's just for you.
Well, you know,
I can't
see,
look at you.
I understood the parallels I'm making, and I would be fine with that. Like in the the original fairy tale, the beast is he's stuck in a tower, a castle,
Sure.
it's alone. So I see what they were doing here, but
But that's where the problem is, though, because they were fucking stretching to make
They
this
were.
movie.
It doesn't translate.
I was like, wow. I'm curious how this book reads because it's like, yeah, you're basically going for. I mean, you're really dumbing it down to the dumbest teenager you can possibly think about,
Yeah.
and just it's something for that dumb teenager to go, hey, I'm reading this kick-ass book, and guess what? It's based off of Beauty and the Beast. Isn't that awesome? And I'm just watching that film made me want to bang my fucking head up against the wall.
How much did it-
Not only because of how ridiculous the story sets itself up and how they just expect you to go with it with all these plot points that make no fucking logical sense. The biggest tragedy is the fucking horrible acting
Yes.
in this fucking movie.
It is.
I mean, wow. They took it to a whole nother level where I'm like, wow, really, Hollywood?
I was trying
Really?
to think of another theatrical release film that had acting as bad as this, and I could not think of one.
Oh, no, I
that I'd
can't
seen
think of films
anytime
from the
recently.
70s that
I
were
was
this
like,
on
oh
this
my
level of
God.
And yeah, see that is the biggest problem with this movie. I was the room. Yeah, Tommy Wiseau was looking at this and I
At least
wasn't
people
that
want to
bad.
go see that, right?
Yeah. But no, I'm looking at this, and not only is there not much going on, they're not very creative at what they do with the modern retelling of this fairy tale, but the acting is terrible. I thought back to another movie like this, because my biggest problem before this even started, is okay, they're trying to combine magic with the real world, and it's clumsy and it's not working. But it could work. I was talking to Leon. I was like, last movie I thought like that was Big. When you look at Big doesn't explain anything. A guy goes in front of a fucking carnival attraction and it turns him into a little boy. It is, if you take Tom Hanks away from that movie, it is fucking a shitty story. But Tom Hanks is there, and plus all these other characters that make the movie what it is.
There's a heart to that.
And there's a heart to that. You look at this, and
there ain't no Tom Hanks.
No, all there is is shit.
I don't know who this Daniel Barnes is, but he does not know how. I'm not going to blame. This is a George Lucas moment here for me. I'm not going to blame any of these actors right here because one actor, okay, it's your fault. Two actors, okay, you two need to fucking help each other. You should have rehearsed a little bit more. There's no excuse for this, but I'm not going, you're wrong. But once you get the whole cast of a film, everybody, including people that you think are good, like, what's his name?
But the thing is, Neil Patrick Harris. He wasn't bad. He just had nothing to do. So he was just kind of like there, like, I'm just here because I promised the guy.
But you say that, I look at even Neil Patrick Harris, and then this is how I know this director just did not do a good job with these actors because I'm looking at him, and you're right. I was walking with Cyrus and co-host, and I was rolling. He was rolling with us. We were going down the parking lot, and I was like, you know something? Did you notice how much Neil Patrick Harris, who's supposed to be blind, made eye contact with people?
Yeah.
There's a point they're walking down the street, Neil Patrick, all they did was get this fool a cane. That's his problem.
Yeah.
He's walking there. There's a part where he looks at this guy, Alex Pettyfer. He's like, yeah, so I was like, oh, watch this pole right here.
and a lot of that, I thought it was because of the camera angles. Because when you're first introduced to Neil Patrick Harris's character, I mean, there is a point where at least he's trying to be blind, where he's being cross-eyed looking at the ceiling.
Yeah.
But in the rest of the shots, it's like every angle that they use, they have it to where it's pointed where he's obviously talking to whoever he's talking to, and where I agree with you. I thought that seems like a director's mistake, especially when watching this. You just think, wow, did this guy go to the Ed Wood School of Directing, where it's just one take and that's it? We got to get the fuck out of here.
It does feel that way.
That's where the director comes in and says, Neil, goddamn it, you look at him again, I'm gonna come over there and just poke your eyes out if you do that again.
Really, this was very low budgeted, if not just by the cast that was involved, who obviously didn't have to be paid that much to be in it. But the fact that they tried to shoehorn every last song they could into it, which meant that they were being paid to do that. To like, just like you were saying, the high school set, which was clearly not even a high school. Watching like the amateurness of a guy who fills time by montages. And not montages where anything actually happened. I've never even seen this before, where they have montages of nothing happening over and over again.
Where the main character just broods, and it's montages of emails sent to people back and forth about why he's not at school.
And you're like, you're cringing because everyone, even during the montages, which you shouldn't even have to act, really just move from point A to point B. The camera's going to do the rest of the work.
I mean, that's even
they get to the point where it's like, man, you guys don't give a shit.
But there's side characters in this movie that can't even fucking act. I'm like, you only got like 10 lines here. There's a point where
wait, his best friend and his ex-girlfriend are making out, talking about
and they go behind. He listens to them.
What's a Wonderful Life?
He's listening to them make talking about him. It is a Wonderful Life moment where they can't recognize him, and they are terrible. They're like, oh man, that guy was so mean. Yeah, he was. I feel really bad about it. Yeah, me too, man.
It was like a PSA.
And the dialogue is written that bad as well.
It is.
It's funny. I was saying early on, because it's very fast talking. It's a lot of back and forth, like snappy patois, as it were. And I feel like it's like a 11-year-old who loves Twilight, but's also a fan of Aaron Sorkin, but doesn't understand what he does. It's like, that's great. We'll have our characters talk real fast and be real funny.
Giving him too much credit.
Wow.
Yeah, you give him way too much credit.
No, this is a movie that suffers from. It's trying to mimic a certain popular series of films out there to the point that it sucked the life out of it. Your characters brood too much. They put too many songs in here for the soundtrack. And the thing is, they think they can get by on that to where they are ignoring how bad the actors are here.
I can't help but wonder if maybe these films are made entirely to make the Twilight films more money. Because you watch this and you go, I gotta admit, Twilight films don't seem that bad now. I mean, part of it is that, like I said, in Twilight films, they know these guys can't act that well. And they know this dialogue, the books are terrible. So they just take out the dialogue and have them just look at each other for like 20, 30 seconds at a stretch.
Yeah.
You know how many times we've talked about that? There's like nothing happened. It's just them looking at each other over and over again in the film. And here, they don't do that. They actually speak, and therein lies the problem.
Yeah, well, co-host, how did you like the way they crowbarred in a way for Vanessa Hudgens to go live with him?
That's a whole nother hour review. That's a whole nother hour
I just
review.
love that. We got to get her into the house. I know her dad will make her, this grown woman, live with a guy who could be a complete
Well, let me tell you something.
That is such a flawed, fucked up setup. How that even starts.
A guy that you
How
never
that
met.
even begin.
I was like, wait, what just happened? It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They go from nothing to like, okay, and now she's there.
It's like,
wait, what? What just happened?
Now
Was there a crime?
Well, let's have a Spider-Man moment here somewhere. And really
Vanessa Hudgens, in the movie, her dad is an addict. He's in trouble with dangerous people. He ends up getting into some trouble with them. So this Beastly or whatever the guy's name is in the movie, whatever.
That's what he goes.
That's what he goes by. He happens to be stalking her at the time and saves her father, and then just says, you know what, I got to get this bitch back to the house one way or another because I'm ugly. I need some pussy quick. So he's like, tells her, he's like, listen, you're in danger. You put your daughter in danger. You've got to let her come live with me. And the guy's like, and he does have a point, but
he's like, man, I don't even know you.
He don't know you, but the way he said that line, I'm even laughing now. That movie, if I was to give this movie credit for anything, it's because that moment made me laugh hard because the dad is like, when he explains to him, like, you got to come let her live with me. Like, I don't know you. Like, no, you don't understand. They're coming for you. They're going to get her too. And he looks back and his eyes going to be like, I don't know. It's just so twisted.
The dad's not buying it. So what is it? Like, they're not even standing. Like, the dad had to shoot this other guy, and they're not standing anywhere near each other at that point. The kid takes out his cell phone, takes a picture of the dad, and then turns 90 degrees away and takes a picture of the dead body and goes, "Aha! Incontrovertible proof of your guilt."
But even better than that, what really set this whole up is that there are two guys with guns who are about to kill the dad, right? And the thing is, one of the brothers witnesses his brother get murdered.
Yeah.
And he looks at the dad and he points at him like, I'm going to find your daughter and I'm going to get my revenge.
Why don't you just kill this guy?
And that's another bad moment of dialogue. He's like, he's looking at her like, my brother for your daughter. And he just disappears into the night. And it's like, man.
I was like, you have a gun.
Damn.
Shoot that motherfucker.
We can end this shit right now. Shoot all three of these motherfuckers.
Please.
Let the movie end.
Yeah, let it end.
This is bad on a level and cheap on a level that I can't help but wonder if it started out as a television pilot. Because it feels a lot more like a TV pilot than it does.
Or it just has the CBS film curse.
Yeah, exactly. CBS films. When that CBS eye came at the beginning of the film, I was like, that's not a good sign. And from the very first scene, I was like, wow, it's pretty rare that I know a film is some old bullshit from the very first scene.
30 seconds in, you're like, we're fucked.
I'm convinced that they fired an executive at NBC or CBS Films. But this guy knew he was going to go. So what did he do? He just greenlit a bunch of shit. See ya, suckers!
Yeah, let's have it all star the same guy.
Because CBS Films, they have the worst track record.
What else do they have out?
Well, they did the Mechanic, which we weren't so hard on. And, you know, they even did another movie that we weren't so hard on, but none of these movies are making money. Yeah. They did that movie that you and I saw, co-host, the one with Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford.
Oh shit!
Right.
Yeah.
The one where his daughter was sick. I can't remember. Yeah. But they have not really had a hit film yet. In fact, their films are losing money for them, and I can't help but think that this is another one. Yeah. So you know what? I let me just say I would have given this movie more credit had they even been more creative with the bringing in of this magic into the real world. I thought it would have been more clever had this girl told him that she was magic, but didn't cast a spell. Like maybe somebody, he was in a car wreck, or there was acid thrown in his face, or something that seemed like it was the real world, but it has him so paranoid and thinking like, you know, maybe this chick is magic. And then at the end, when the curse has to be lifted, you know, all of a sudden there's a doctor who can like actually take his case, and then she's like, and then it's like, don't worry, this girl took care of it. How does she do it? And they're like, don't worry about it. She has some money. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. And then he's, you know, and throughout we can decide whether or not for ourselves if it's magic or not. But they clumsily bring this along. Fuck this. You know what am I even going this deep for? This movie's bullshit. That's my rating. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
The biggest flaw is that it did not address the issue. What was the whole point of the movie?
Yeah.
You know, this guy realizing why he's such an asshole. They never addressed that at all, period. I'm like, why did you have a scene where this guy goes to school and he gets ridiculed for how he looks? Stray off the fucking Beauty and the Beast, because sticking two people in a room making them fall in love with each other. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
about
one dude is just hard and horny. The other, this other bitch got Stockholm syndrome. It's like it doesn't work.
Pretty much. Yeah, not only does she have Stockholm syndrome, but it's like you don't teach somebody a lesson like I'll make you ugly, and that way you can't find anybody to love you. It's like, well, take away his money too, because there's a lot of rich, ugly guys who get the hottest women because they are rich.
Take away his money, give him a gut.
Yeah.
Give him like clown makeup that can't be removed. I mean, it's like
take away his dick and the fucking
make him
Mexican, make him black.
I would have been elite. He's in blackface. No, I gotta end it all now.
But I mean, for every reason we just named, it like I said, from the very first scene, we could tell this movie was some old bullshit by the unbelievably bad writing and acting, and even from people who some people that to be better actors who were sort of in there. You could tell that they still aren't bad actors, but Vanessa Hudgens and Alex Pettyfer, they don't need to star in nothing no more.
She broke my heart.
Yeah, I bet she did. You know what? The whole time I was watching, I was feeling sorry for you.
She broke my fucking heart.
This movie, to me, it's so dipped into being fuck you territory. Except I'll pull it back to call it some old bullshit because I was never bored in it because it was just kept surprising me with how bad it was. I just never got bored. I was like, wow, what are you going to do next? Oh, shit. Okay, keep going.
I can't say that. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't bored. I was angry was why I wasn't bored. I mean, I was, and that's the key. If I'm sitting there getting pissed off, and I was, the only reason I didn't leave is because I know you wouldn't have let me, Leon. You would have grabbed my ass and pulled me back
I would put salt on your tail.
You're staying
I know, you were so mad. There were moments you kept looking at me, and I was like, I'm not looking at him. He ain't gonna take his wrath out on me. I'm not making eye contact with this motherfucker at all.
It's not that bad. Like, yes, it is.
I didn't say anything. I knew you was ready to jump on me for something. You was so mad you wanted to blame me for it.
I did. I swear. There's not a single redeeming quality to this film. It's not only a waste of time. It will ruin your day. It's a fuck you of a movie if there ever was one.
I completely fucking agree with you. Only because, I mean, wow. A movie that makes me look back on the Twilight films and makes them look like masterpieces.
Yeah, I know.
And not only the Twilight films, not even the Twilight films. Every goddamn show on the CW looks like a fucking masterpiece compared to this utter piece of shit.
It's not even as good as the worst of television.
No, not at all. Oh my God, this is a travesty.
Make you pull out your Birds of Prey DVDs.
I know.
This will forever be the fucking ugly mole on the ads of Hollywood as far as what they will let just go by now. I'm like, wow, why am I not fucking making films right now? Why? But yeah, no, this movie gets a big fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fuck you. I mean, wow. I mean, my heart was like turning into, if I had one, it would have turned into dust just to witness Vanessa Hudgens, who I was praying to God had somewhat of a decent career ahead of her. But watching this, I'm like, you know what? This movie is over. It's over. Yeah. I hope to God fucking Zack Snyder makes you shine and sucker punch because, wow, I don't know what the fuck you did, but stop doing it.
Yeah, no, this is, at best, this was a straight to DVD release. There's no way somebody should have looked at this.
This is straight to VHS.
They're not even worthy of DVD. I think that should have videotape. Betamax on top of that.
Do not waste the technology.
That shit should have been on a Viewmaster. You know what? You're right.
Viewmaster.
I know, yeah. 3D Viewmaster. Yeah. You know something? I'm looking at this, and I do think they should have made her a racist witch. You remember that movie Thinner? Where the gypsy comes up and says, Thinner. I think she should have been a racist witch and went up to his face and said, nigger. And he looked in the mirror, he was black, and he was like, oh, shit. I'm cursed.
J.J. Walker.
My credit is bad. I can't stop drinking this grape soda. What the fuck is she doing to me?
Dynamite.
Feels like I'm out here forever.
I need more time. I might have a shot if I have more time.
Can't. Sorry. You were the most beautiful man I have ever met.